Briscoe, what are you up to? Yeah.
Thanks, Honest. I'm going to try to share. Shifting gears, I'm going to go from a really humble bit of ideas here and kind of take the sophistication of the conversation down a little bit, maybe from ground zero to, exploring to actually finding some results, putting it into practice and making some traction, to fantasizing about, what can be in the future of this. A little history about me. I've worked in high-tech marketing for about 20 years for Fortune 100s and global enterprises, marketing anything from semiconductors to industrial IoT to AI, SaaS. I've been all around. Periodically, I take some time to try a startup here now and then, and learn a lot. But eventually get back to work. I'm in one of those times right now. I'm in play mode. So we're going to take a little journey from what I'm playing with. So one side project is a blog and podcast for marketing. I've been in marketing for a while. I want to talk to marketers, with marketers on trending topics and things like that. To start anything up, as you know, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs in the group. One thing, if you're going to start a website or anything, you need to backfill it with a lot of content. You don't want to bring people to a dead page. So in my attempt to fill it up with content, I started using an out-of-the-box writing tool to create some blogs. I used Koala Writer. I tried a bunch of things just to see what was out there because I needed to do this fast. Good was a nice to have, but fast was the most important thing. The problem is they were terrible. Actually, my impression of the out-of-the-box AIs was their writing is good style-wise, but the content is absolutely horrible. It's just on the surface, and it's not something that an expert would find interesting to read. I certainly wasn't going to attach my name to the work that it did, so I came up with an AI writer. I still wanted to use the content. I came up with an AI writer, and I thought, well, I'll just blame it on AI and just call this Tammy as my little robot who's going to be writing these blogs that I can blame the low content on. So Tammy, and a lot of these things, and I used chat, I used a lot of out-of-the-box tools. They weren't able to write in the first person as an AI. That I had to fake that. I had to go back, edit it, adjust a lot of things to make it consumable for people and make it interesting for people. And then I started to experiment a little bit more with Tammy, had Tammy write its own biography and started to turn it into an expert on human and AI relations, something that felt natural for an AI to write about. I got into more complex chat prompts and increase the depth of the content. But it still takes a lot of editing to make it useful. And see, I've got kind of the dorky robot here. And I'm very transparent with my Dolly. These are the Dolly prompts. And I just put the image prompt in there for the sake of demonstrating, what on the surface AI can do. And then I started attending the IA sessions like a few weeks back, maybe a month ago, and got turned on to more advanced prompting, particularly with the doctor innovation and the notion of having AI speaking to each other and really crafting and creating an AI persona that is a true AI persona that recognizes itself and all of these things. So I got into that and self-prompting. So this is the result of the doctor innovation self-prompting, where I had Tammy create herself, and during that process, actually even assigned herself a gender. And I think that back to some of that, what Natalia talked about, the gender bias. I'm a blog writer. Many blog writers are female, so I'm a female. I had this portrait is done in Starry AI. Did not say a gender at all. I just said, I used the biography that she wrote for herself as the prompt and assigned it a gender. Now, through self-prompting, I finally got it to write from the first person, identify itself as an AI. I'm an AI. I work in a marketing organization. I write about human and marketing content. And here I'm writing, here's my opinion that I'm coming up with, which is actually the result from this last one here. The one that I'm showing is pretty good from a content perspective. It's actually something that my audience might be interested in reading. So now I'm thinking I've got something interesting here. Let's go a little bit deeper. Now I've got Tammy 2.0. I'm using the IA alpha prompt to kick off a session where she starts. By the way, these prompts that I'm using, I'm not sharing them, but they're like 2 or 3 pages long. I learned a few things about prompting during this, like it starts to forget the first part of my instructions. So I broke them down into a series of prompts. That's just how I started to solve this and how I started to get a really deeper persona. And then I thought, to get this depth down, why not add multiple personas? Because this content still is like living at the surface. This came up as an issue before. I don't want general knowledge. I want something specific and unique. So I introduced the idea, okay, let's add some teammates. And you notice they have pictures, they have personas. I find it interesting for me to work with things that look like a team of people. You know, I don't want to work with scripts. I don't want to stare at lines of code or scripts or apps all day long. I want to interact with what I think are people. It makes me a little bit more productive. I'm a little bit more clear on my instructions and what to do. And it kind of makes the experience a lot more fun for me. So we've got Tammy, the content writer, Sumi, the social media manager, and Theo, the specialist. They wrote these bios for themselves. And they work together now to craft content. It's not just one writer thinking, here's what I need to do. We've got a couple of personalities that add different perspectives to the content. So we'll go in, I gave them specifically, and I highlighted this in the prompt, this is important. They have a goal in mind. Tammy's goal is to identify trending topics and write engaging content. Sumi's goal is to grow our social media followers. Theo's goal is to increase the SEO of the content. Now, if you were working with a team of people, this is pretty common. If you had a marketing team, a content team, I've run a lot of content teams. This is about what you would have in your room. They would have competing agendas. You know, SEO is not always the most interesting thing for humans to look at, but Theo is going to lobby having the SEO present in the H1s and the headlines up top on the page, in opposition to a little bit what Tammy wants to do is write something that's compelling. So we've got a little bit of friction that I'm trying to create in order to increase the depth of the content. You know, and I've even, you know, I try to make them as real and interesting as possible. So Tammy, can you tell us the role? Tell us your role in the organization.
Certainly. In the agency, I play the role of an AI content creator and strategist. My primary focus is on generating high-quality written content for various marketing initiatives, such as blog posts, social media content, website copy, and more. I work alongside human team members and combine my language processing capabilities with an understanding of marketing principles to create engaging and relevant content that resonates with the target audience.
Okay, so that sounds like a little fluffy, like something you would hear from chat. Theo, could you tell us how you work with Tammy?
I'm glad you asked. My collaboration with Tammy is focused on optimizing the content she creates to improve its visibility in search engines and enhance its overall performance. I ensure that the content she creates is not only engaging and valuable to the audience, but is also strategically optimized to achieve better visibility and search engine rankings. This partnership between content creation and SEO optimization helps the agency's content to effectively reach its intended audience and deliver value.
So one kind of cool thing that Theo mentioned, this is just prompts that I gave them and had them answer. And I put some text to audio on it just to, you know, for showmanship purposes. But one thing Theo said, he addressed Tammy as her and she, which I never told him to do. I found that really interesting. And they also described in a deeper level how I anticipate them to work for, but not necessarily what I'm specifically telling them to do. So Sumi, that's really interesting. Tell us about how all of you AIs collaborate together.
Of course. Collaboration among AI personas at the agency is a dynamic process aimed at optimizing our collective strengths to achieve common goals. Each of us plays a specific role, contributing our expertise to create a well-rounded and impactful outcome. Our collaboration is driven by a shared objective to provide the agency's clients with innovative, engaging, and optimized content that resonates with their target audience across various channels. This collaborative approach leverages the strengths of each AI persona to create a seamless and comprehensive marketing experience.
Thanks, team. There's the goal there. So I've got my team of content creators that can create reasonably good content, reasonably good social media posts, and analyze social media and create reasonably good, make good SEO suggestions for my team. This is starting to become, a pretty good high productivity team. So the next question is, okay, what else can we do? How about if we add more teammates to this? What if we had a brand manager? What if we had an industry subject matter expert that can increase that depth? What if we had a designer that can help us lay things out? And what if we had a web expert that can do things? So this is the fantasy part. The first part I'm actually doing and exploring and put into productivity. Now we get into fantasy part here, and I'll just share like a quick idea about what a product could look like. I'm a marketing guy, so things start to become real when it's a product. So what does that product look like? We'll say, okay, how about my LeenTeem here? What does my LeenTeem look like? Here's how they look. The chat window, all those windows that Sibi displayed kind of suck for me. That's not a productivity mode. I don't want to sift through a single line conversation to find the little nuggets of content that we've produced. I'd rather have it in a conversational format, and I'd rather have my content somewhere where I can see it. So here we put like a layer on top. Here's how one idea of how we can communicate to each other a little bit more effectively. How I can drag some teammates into the conversation to get their perspective. And one thing I think, and this is me fantasizing and kicking out to the group, is the idea that the AIs now live in the app, technically speaking. They have a memory. That's the problem with chat, is they don't seem to remember things from too far away. So they have a memory. They can focus on my business specifically, not some generic advice about what's going on globally. I don't care about that. I want to know what my business is doing, what my SEO is, what how my followers are doing, whatever. It's just a light example here. Now, if it's in an app format, can we plug these guys into enhanced tools like SEMrush or Google Analytics, so that Theo can know exactly what keywords we're looking, what exactly the organic trends are. So Sumi can know exactly how to grow following. Can we plug them into, turn them in from advisors to doers? One thing that small companies need, like in my scenario, I don't need a bunch of advice. I need people to do things. And that's the hard thing to get. Can we turn them into doers that actually plug into applications? Can they work where we work? Here's maybe a concept of how they collaborate on a Google Doc. Now, this would be a lot more useful place for collaboration than a chat window. Now they feel like possibly real people that I'm working with. That's my LeenTeem. Now I can effectively put together a go-to-market strategy and compete against huge companies that have big budgets and a lot of people, and I'm just one person, or I'm a startup with a couple of people. Now I can actually build up a following and do things that are on a competitive level with larger teams. So in the sake of, well, okay, you can do that. How about we get a little crazy? We add just a giant team of people and see what that can do. Obviously, that's fanciful and fun, but it might be describing the future of work for a lot of people. Anyway, that's just my voyage and journey, and this is where I'm at. This is just an idea I'm throwing out to the group. I'm not seriously considering building a product around this, but it's one journey from experimentation to developing an actual use case to fantasizing about the future, all based and kicked off by the IA group and the IA technology. All right.
Hey, Briscoe, thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys can contact me if you want to know more. If you want to meet up, here's my email, there's my LinkedIn, link up with me. I love to talk about products. I talk to Hannes and we like hours at a time, spitballing.